Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. This is your, what is it? It's the United Community Podcast. It's been so long since I said it that I need to get used to it again. But the podcast is back, guys. We've got a new format. It's going to be every Wednesday night live on YouTube at 9 p.m. And of course, then you can listen back to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. And we've got some of the channel members on. You may recognize them if you're watching on YouTube. We've got Ben, we've got Chris, and we've got Desi. And Oisin is supposed to be here tonight, but he's traveling, so he's going to miss tonight. So how we doing, guys? All good?
Good.
All good.
Happy days. Well, look, let's jump straight into it. We've got a number of different things to talk about, guys. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. I'll be trying to get down through as many of the live comments as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you're listening back on it as well. If you're listening to us on Spotify, give us a 5-star review as well. It helps the channel out an awful lot. But we're going to jump straight into it, guys. Obviously, a lot of the talking points over the last couple of days, obviously we haven't got a midweek game this week, but it's kind of solely based around the Glazers, and the quarterly earnings came out this week, and United have now paid over £1 billion in refinancing the debt or paying off the debt, and since the Glazers took over. I want to get your thoughts on it, Chris. I'll go to you first. It's not good reading seeing that Manchester United have paid £1 million in just repaying the debt. Another $1 million has gone in dividends, and between the debt remaining and remaining transfer fees, it's going to be another $1 billion. Give me your thoughts on what's transcribed over the last couple of days.
Well, added to that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just got a new $70 million training facility. So, I mean, let's be honest. We all know this. We all know it. They have to go, and there's no way to force them out. I think it's awful. I mean, I don't understand how they can, who does their books or how it goes. It's just it's like you don't have enough money and you're just paying the minimum just to keep the credit card open. And I think that's what they're doing, and they're just trying to milk it for all that it's worth at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Ben, for yourself, I mean, obviously you're the closest to it to any of us, obviously in England. But like, what's the feeling like over there? Is obviously I'm sure it's the same as anywhere else, but the Glazers remaining at Manchester United seems to be what's going to happen. Is there any way that you see they ever sell, or what's the likely outcome of it over the next few years with Jim Ratcliffe with his feet under the table?
I think it's a case of they've got to sell it. Let's be honest with it. We're not shocked by the numbers, are we? We've known about this for years, what's been going off. But the state that we're in now, are we able to sell them?
Yeah.
That's the issue, isn't it? They're not going to make no money from it, are they? And that's all they want, money into it.
Yeah, you're talking about the actual share price of the club maybe going down so low is the only real way of getting rid of them.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and I suppose the Glazers are in it to make money more than anything else. Desi, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, obviously the finances and the figures coming out today are not good. I mean, £3 billion potentially we could be paying since the Glazers got here, and that's only if we pay off the remaining $731 million that's remaining. So, I mean, it's not good really, isn't it not?
It's an absolute disaster, Jack. It is bad reading. But as a Man United fan, and listen, I'm not going to come on here and act like I know all the numbers and know everything that goes on behind the scenes. But I've done a bit of research on it today myself, and it's very concerning. I've always not liked them. We went in debt before they took us over. They have never really invested in the club, in the structure of the club, or the facilities in the club. We've had ex-players like Ronaldo and stuff. And I'm not trying to go off topic, Jack. I'm just saying, players have noticed this that have been at the club and come back to it and see it in the state that it's in. And when you look at the likes of Old Trafford, I think they might have invested some money around COVID, something like 20 million, to kind of tap it up and try and fix it. But it needs a lot more money than that. And some of the business that has gone on, Jack, when I looked into it today, it's criminal stuff, really. And I said there to myself, and I said to myself, have they ever been asked, like, where do they want to bring this club, or what's their plan for the club? Because nobody seems to really know what their plan is for Manchester United. They're there a long time now, and it seems like maybe I've missed it, but I have never seen the actual plan on what they want to do with United. Yes, they're there to make money, but what's the plan for the fan base and for the team itself? And I'm yet to see an answer for it.
Yeah, there's never been a goal. There's never been anything, that's been outlined to us around the Glazers. At least, with Ineos coming in and they've got their, Project 150 and, mission. I don't know what the other one is. There's two of them there anyway. But the Glazers have just, have come in. They've been silent. I think the only time they've actually ever communicated with the fans was after the Super League, embarrassment. And, that was only one Skype call, I think, that Joel Glazer done with us. Chris, obviously Jim Ratcliffe is in now, and, he's got his first, I suppose, share of the club, and it's 28%, and as we can see on screen here, the Glazers sold Radcliffe 28.94% for 715 million, retaining majority control while outsourcing the operational responsibility and public criticism to him. The deal does include a drag-along rights, potentially forcing Radcliffe to sell if the Glazers opt for a full sale later, netting them further profit. In relation to something like this, is it a good thing? So for example, if, let's say, Qatar, for example, were to come back in and they were to say to the Glazers, look, we want to buy your 70 whatever percent that you've got remaining, it would mean Jim Ratcliffe would have to sell also. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think, having maybe differing opinions, not having the one person running Manchester United, would it be beneficial or not?
I think it's beneficial that the problem is that the Glazers retain the control, and they don't have to sell unless they want to sell, and that's the biggest problem, and that's number one. And number two, if let's just say everybody knows Qatar comes back in the fold, and they want to buy Manchester United, and I think it's a good thing that if they do, then Ineos has to sell at that point, because that's part of it. They entered into it. I mean, the problem is the Glazers hold all the cards, and that's where we're stuck in the mud. It's just as shrewd as they are, they don't leave themselves open for anything. And to go back on Desi's point, I think they just look at United as and we all know what it is. It's a cash cow to them. It's to them it's free money. It's just because they don't put anything in, but they take everything out. And I don't know. It's not public knowledge what the exact deal is with Ineos, and you hear that they're not supposed to take dividends for the first 5 years.
3.
Is it
3 years? So they've got 2 years left.
Yeah. So for 3 years they're not supposed to take dividends, but I think I think they were smart in saying that, because I don't think they could afford to take dividends anyways.
And I think what that also meant then as well, I agree, I think it's very smart out of the Glazers, is because what it means is them not taking dividends out means the only way they can really make money off of Manchester United is by increasing the value of the club, and by putting Ineos in charge and putting all of the pressure on them, it alleviates them from any of the blame.
And I agree with that. And I think that's why they're very shrewd in what they do, because I don't think there'd be any dividends to take, because I think they knew at the point when they opened up the ability or the option to sell the club, they knew they were never going to sell the complete club. I mean, you could look at that by the evaluation that they put out there and how much money that they wanted, or what's reported what they wanted, with the debt that's on there, with how Old Trafford has been, debilitated or dilapidated and everything. And it's just like, you just kind of sit back and they're like, okay, well, we're going to open up and someone's going to throw money in and we're going to use it. but ultimately we know that we have to pay all these millions of pounds or euros or dollars or whatever just to keep us above water. And because they knew they couldn't take dividends, they couldn't afford to. There's no way. I mean,
Yeah.
they maxed out the credit card, and now they're looking for. It's like they did a consolidation loan almost, and then now they're trying to balance the books a little bit, the and they know that they every year United makes, because of our fan base and everything. United makes roughly 600 to 700 million pounds a year, roughly. I think that's the last, somewhere in between there is what we
Yeah.
usually average. And so they can take that and they go, okay. And, everybody that talks about, I was listening to different podcasts earlier today. Oh, we're not going to have any money in summer. You'll always have money in summer
Yeah,
with
of
United.
course.
I mean, honestly, you always will. It's just a matter of how much and what they're going to do with it at that point. And I think I mean, they're very smart in what they do, and they're meaning in, like what Desi's like. They don't have a vision. They really don't. You know,
Their vision is to
and
take as much money out of
it's different.
Manchester United
Everybody,
and put it into their other ventures.
it is, and the difference is, and people talk about, well, they own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but you guys have to understand the way the NFL works. It's entirely different than the way the European football community works, as far as buying and selling, and free agents and trades and this and that. It's completely different. There's a salary cap. Everybody has to abide by a certain number, and that's what it is. So it makes it kind of cut and dry, where you can't get into these issues where we're spending way more money than we're making, or we're doing this and we're
Yeah.
doing that. It's
It's
very
not
cut and
possible.
dry. It's this is what you can spend.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
it's not possible. You're not allowed to do it. And if you get a player like Cristiano Ronaldo when he's in his prime, if you get a player like that and he wants to demand a certain wage or salary or whatever, you just cut him. He's a free agent. He goes out to market, and whoever wants to pay him can pay him. That's the way it works in the United States, and
Yeah.
that's the difference. Where you can strap yourself, but then you got a whole bunch of youth kids around them, because that's what you're going to have in order to field a team
Yeah,
at
and
that
balance
point.
the books then as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, right, okay. I mean, moving on slightly from the Glazers then, Desi, I'll go to you on this one. I mean, obviously, the Glazers are one part of the problem. Do you see maybe Ineos as being another part of the problem? Because there's a lot of negativity coming around Ineos the last few days, I've noticed. And as we can see here, it's been today actually, which is quite I suppose apt. Like, it's been 1 year since Sir Jim Ratcliffe has acquired his minority stake in Manchester United. How do you rate Ineos's first year at the club? Do you think they've obviously made mistakes, and I've been quite clear on this. They have made mistakes. The main ones being Dan Ashworth, maybe keeping on Eric Ten Hag as well. But how do you see their overall first 12 months as minority owners of Manchester United?
Well, I think going back to the summer, Jack, and they weren't there that long, and we saw Dan Ashworth come in, and we saw things changing in the background that we thought would be good for the club. At that point, I thought, maybe this could actually work. This looks like a positive for the club. But when you read reports recently and you see what's going on with people's jobs getting cut, and that player, what's that charity player thing that was, what was it, 40,000 or something? They cut that as well, and obviously they took Sir Alex Ferguson off the payroll, which I think was right. I don't think he needs that money.
Yeah.
And when you probably sit down as a business outfit and look at these things, you kind of have to make these types of cuts. The only thing I think is, when I look into all that, is where do we see, at what point do we get to a stage where we go, yeah, this is actually working?
Yeah.
What's the turning point to where we're going to? Like, putting up ticket prices is not going to be a good thing for fans alone. I think putting the ticket prices up is really a dangerous thing to do, and that's probably shown in what we see in reports about coming out protesting against the Glazers and stuff. That's probably had a part to play in that.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I wouldn't say that. Um, I don't trust him. I don't think it's going the way that I thought it was going to be from the start, Jack. And I can't
Yeah.
see a way in the financial numbers that I've seen how this is going to work. Like some of the cut that they've made is not even a smidgen of what we need. Like in terms of
Yeah.
trying to get back to where we were.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. Ben, obviously the two main issues there were Dan Ashworth and Eric Ten Hag in terms of maybe the mistakes they've made in the first 12 months. And they've been costly mistakes, which is the main concern here. Obviously there's teething issues when, you're talking about, new owners coming in and, getting things right and so on and so forth. What's your opinions on him? Do you think that, these mistakes that they've made in the first 12 months are maybe signs that there may be more to come, or are you confident maybe that the structure they've put in place and maybe some of the players that they've signed are good enough and have been the right decisions to say, okay, we can hang our hat a little bit on this?
I think it goes back to the Glazers again, though, don't it? When Radcliffe come in, did he know the full story? Has he gone into the club and his eyes opened up like, wow, it's really this bad?
Yeah.
So it depends on what he knew when he was coming in, don't it?
Yeah.
And it seems as Ten Hag, it seems Amaron now. They're all there with one arm behind the back.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. Nobody knows where we're going, what we're doing.
Yeah. It's all a bit deer in the headlights kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I agree, and look, I've made my point on it, and I done a post today on Instagram and TikTok and stuff where, I made it quite clear that I think Ineos are coming in, and I don't think Ineos are here to make money. I genuinely don't think they are. Jim Ratcliffe is, in the latter stages of his life, you would say. I would see, and we spoke about this before. I think he's here to leave a legacy more so than make money out of it, in my opinion. When you see what he's doing with, he's trying to rein in the sponsorship deals for the All Blacks. I can't believe he's been sponsoring Spurs. I don't know if you heard that. So he's trying to pull the money out of Spurs. He's pulling money back from his racing teams and so on and so forth. I think he's going gung ho for Manchester United. I genuinely do. But Chris, I want to ask you on it, because there is plans for more protests, and obviously the main one is going to be the Arsenal game. I'm pretty sure it is. The Arsenal game. The 1958 announced a protest for Manchester United fans about the ownership of the club, which will take place on March the 9th for the Arsenal game. Do you see this maybe as being still a Glazers out campaign, or do you think it's going to be Glazers Ineos? I mean, or is it maybe too soon for that?
I think it's too soon for. I think it's Glazers out for sure. I think it's too soon for Ineos out, because let's kind of compartmentalize this a little bit. Okay, Ineos comes in, they look at how United's been run, which we all know has been shit. It's like, and you guys are closer to it than I am, and you guys talk about the redundancies and everything like that, but it's just like any bit. You got to look at it in two compartments: the football side and the business side.
Yeah.
If the business side is like they're talking about all these, and I don't ever want people to lose their jobs. Don't get me wrong, but if you've got too many people doing the same thing,
I said the same bloody thing a couple of weeks ago.
They gotta go. I'm sorry, that's just the way businesses run. If you have three guys doing the same thing, and half the time they're all sitting there like this, going, "Well, we don't really have to work, because if we all do it at the same time, we'll get it done in a third of the time." That's not how that works. Like, you gotta streamline the business, and if they look at it, and I say business wise. Okay, if we cut people, which is never a good thing, and I understand that. But if we cut it and we streamline things and we can get the same result and save money, then that's a good business move. I hate to say that. There's a bad side of that coin, which someone loses their job or a couple people lose their job. But business wise, it's a business. You got to remember it's a business, and also I think Ineos is having to make hard decisions, because, like you said, they made some bad decisions. They kept Ten Hag. They had to cut Ten Hag, or they fired him. They brought in Dan Ashworth, and then they fired him. So they're looking at themselves going, well, we can't really take this hit, so we got to do something to kind of, balance the books on that side of it. And I
Yeah.
think that's where you're getting it.
Sorry,
You're talking.
did he
You're
know?
talking. What's that?
did- So the jobs that you're talking about that they cut, do we know the figure that they're saving on them jobs?
I don't know. I mean, I've
Uh,
heard I heard with all the cuts that they've made, it's basically balanced out the Ten Hag and the Ashworth thing. That's
yeah,
what I've heard.
it's going to be about 20 plus million, or 20 to 30 million is the figure I've heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
but
then you
that makes
hear,
a little bit more sense then.
Yeah.
but then you hear about some other, and I won't mention names, but other pundits or other podcasts or other platforms that talk about, oh well, you have Casemiro that's sitting there making 350 grand. Well, you can't do anything about that. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Like, that whole discussion needs to be put to the side, because unless you're willing, and again, forgive me, if you let Casemiro go, you have to pay him his full salary.
Exactly.
So
I think this is what Ineos are doing. This
yeah,
is the first step towards cleansing everything, in my
yes,
opinion.
and it's gonna, just like they say, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And I think this is where it's getting worse. You're having to go through the club, and the last I heard is, they're going to cut the scouting department down and everything like that. I'll be honest with you, Jack. I know a friend of mine that lives in California. He's worked for Manchester United scouting department on the youth level. I mean, how he gets paid, I won't say, but it's not. It's peanuts. It's
Yeah.
more, you get to put it on your CV
Of
that say
course.
you work for the United,
He
scouting
might be
department.
he might be scouting for 7 or 8 different clubs maybe at different times.
Exactly. So he didn't, but what he does is, but he's scouting like youth kids, like 8, 9, 10, 12-year olds.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to really be careful when they talk about the scouting department. It's like, if and I've read that Vivell is staying on as head
That's
of
right.
scouting. If he looks at it and says, we don't need all these people, this is all fluff, then let him go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You have to let him go. Because I'll be honest, if you look at what Vivell's done, and we'll tie it all to him, your Kones, your Cheeto Obi Martins, your Heavens, all these younger players that supposedly he has brought in. I mean, that's what we have to do. We have to, as you say, replenish the coffers so you
Yeah.
can go to somewhere and pull a player out. Because other than that, I mean, we didn't really have anybody in the youth system. What, the Fletchers, and a player here and there. And
Yeah,
I
it
think,
was kind of like, you get Manu on. Well, I suppose the last couple of years has been decent. You had Manu and Garnacho in consecutive years, but outside of that, you were probably going back to Pogba and Lingard's time.
yeah, I mean, and at that point, you have to replenish. So then, and I get it, but at the same time, you have to remember that if we're not going to spend the money, and you're not going to go get your Galacticos and these top tier players, you're going to go through some growing pains of bringing in the younger players that you're going to have to put time in, your Garnachos, your Menus, and stuff that are not the finished product. And I think everybody wants them to be the finished product, but they're not. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say, I'm still, if you get 60 million for a Garnacho, sell him.
Gasp.
I'm like, I just can't. I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, I understand he's young. I understand that he's got some promise, but does he really? Does he really fit the system? Does he really? I mean,
All right,
I mean,
okay, all right, okay. I'm not getting into fucking Garnacho, all right? Because I fucking love Garnacho. All right, leave Garnacho.
I agree with what Chris is saying though. When was the last
Yeah.
time that we had a team player that come in and was sold?
yes,
When was
Yeah.
the last time that we sold a player for profit?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I
you're
mean-
right, Ben. You're right. You're 100% right, because it kind of coincides with the fact that we've been useless at selling players full stop over the last decade, let alone even youth players. Like, when you're seeing we're struggling to get money for senior players, but the Man City Academy are selling players for 25 million who have never played a senior game. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we've got to get better at. It's everything. It's the collective.
But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, and I like him. Don't get me wrong. I think he could fit. But if you look at him in a bubble, he doesn't fit the Amarin system, because we don't use wingers anymore.
Yet.
yet. Okay, but here's the thing, though, Jack. Are you gonna wait the 2 years it's gonna take him to become the player that you want him to become? And he's only gonna be playing sparingly because you see what happens right now when he plays all the time. He's not as good as advertised.
Well, I'm just going to leave it here on Garnacho, and I get the final word because it's my fucking podcast, all right? If he could just improve his finishing, he would be top 5 attackers in the league.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so
he would have had a hat trick against Spurs in the last game.
define. Okay, top 5. I apologize because
Maybe not top 5, maybe top 10. All right, maybe top 10.
Okay, top 5. Oh, come on, Jack.
Yeah, maybe top 10. Sorry, top 5. I was getting a bit carried away with top 5. But yeah, top 10.
Is he better than Cole Palmer?
No, but no one is.
Oh well, I can. I don't know. But do you think?
Well,
Cole Palmer?
Cole Palmer and Salah, I think, are in a league of their own at the moment. I mean, even Cole Palmer's gone a bit cold the last few weeks as well.
Okay, but can you see Garnacho being as good as Cole Palmer was last season at any point in the next 2 years?
Yes.
Wow.
I genuinely can. Well, but my reasoning is, if we're talking about Ruben Amram and what we've seen him do with players before, and we'll get on to Amram in a minute, he turned Victor Gyökeres into an absolute animal. And I don't think it's going to take an awful lot for Ruben Amram to turn the squad into a really good one, and individual players from decent players to really good players. I just think what?
But Gyökeres wasn't a winger turning it into a 10. He was a number 9 playing a number 9.
I understand that, but Garnacho is still getting into really good positions where he should be scoring.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Right. Okay. Let's move it on. Right. Let's move it on, and let's talk about the man himself. Let's talk about Ruben Amram, because obviously we've been getting off of the footballing side of things the last couple of days, and we want to obviously get back into that. We're playing in 2 days' time. I want to talk a little bit about Ruben Amram, and Desi, I'll go to you on this one first. How good of a job is Ruben Amram actually doing? Obviously, because we speak on match reaction videos, and it's very heat of the moment kind of stuff. But we're sitting here at 9:30 on a Wednesday night, nice and relaxed, having a cup of tea, chilling out, talking about Manchester United. What's your thoughts on Ruben Amram? I think we mentioned on the last match reaction video that he probably should be doing a better job than he actually is, even though he hasn't got the players he's got. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah. But
thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, should we have seen a little bit more improvement than what we've seen now, especially in the last few weeks? Of course we should have. We as United fans would expect to see better. Do I think that puts him in the bracket of being a bad manager? Absolutely not. He's been dealt some seriously bad cards. We cannot get away from the fact that this man has not been backed yet. There's nobody that can say that we've put pen to paper with certain players that he's needed, that he's wanted, they're playing from, and the system is not working. We cannot say that right now. He's been dealt a very bad hand with a team who I believe is just toxic to the bone, bar one or two, especially in terms of attitude with some of them. And we need to give this guy time. We need to. There's a load of things that obviously have to be fixed off the field as well as on it. And I think maybe our football is a reflection of how bad our club has been running at the moment. And there's no manager in the world that will come in and fix it, no matter how good he is. So we can all pay. It's very easy for us, I think, as fans, Jack, to get to a certain point where we lose a certain amount of games and just turn around and say, well, it's him. And that to me is just a cop out. We have been here before plenty of times. I think, personally, the best bit of business that Ineos has done is signing Ruben Amram. And a lot of people will argue that right now and say, well, what do you mean? Like, how can you say that with the certain results? Oh, I can tell you why, because he's got the same team we've had previously in the past few years. We've had different managers coach these players with different systems. There's leaks coming out from Old Trafford, from the training ground. There's leaks everywhere in this club.
Did you see that? So
Yes.
there was a
Honestly,
doc
so.
there was a document sent around to all of the staff at Manchester United about the leaks and telling them to stop leaking, and that got leaked.
But who does how do you not know who does that? Like seriously, like I
No,
don't
but
know what the rules are in the UK, but like
Yeah.
in the US, you'd be done. Like it's just like you'd be out the
Jack,
door.
can I say something? Back to the Ruben Allen thing.
Yeah.
At what point do we actually turn around and say, "Do you know what? This has been going on for too long now in terms of how our team has been performing. And where do we actually look for the root cause to the situation of where our team is? We know where it is. It's not the manager. Obviously, the player profile that we have is not there. And that protest that's about to happen should have happened years ago, Jack. Not now.
Yeah.
We're kind of behind on certain of getting behind the club in terms of that. Listen, I love United. I don't want to see nobody not go to the stadium. But this club is being rotted from the people at the where the book ends, and there's been bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, which ends us to leave us where we are now. Yeah, empty the stadium,
Yeah, well,
empty it.
that's coming out from a lot of the big social media platforms, to empty the stadium against Arsenal. But I don't see how you could ever do that, though. That's the one thing I would say. I think it's too difficult. I think when
It
you
is
look
too
at Old
difficult,
Trafford.
Jack, but we have to take a stance as a club.
Yeah, I
We have
agree.
to stamp our authority as fans. We love this club. Football is based off working class families. We're
Yeah,
working class families. That's where this sport belongs. It's made from people like that.
yeah,
And hiking the prices, I don't agree with Jack. I definitely don't. But I'm sick of the Glazers, Jack. They have no vision for this club. They don't communicate with the fans. Your man was asked the other day, one of the Glazers, when he's walking out on the streets of America, would be interested in selling the club? A simple no. Won't answer no questions, no nothing. And do you know what? The fans have every right to do and think about doing what they're doing right now. That's what I
yeah,
personally feel. It's got to a stage now where we can keep going on about blaming the managers, and we get another manager and another manager and another manager until we really turn around and realise that, hold on a minute, it doesn't matter what manager we get. It doesn't matter what way we do it. We need to look at the root cause to this, to where our clubs are, our stadium, our training facilities, and everything else. And as Chris has pointed out with the NFL or whatever it is in America, why is it that way? Why is there other business that's flourishing with our setup and behind the scenes, and we're not? Are we not the same boat? No, you know,
yeah,
The
are
yeah.
we
the
not
diff-
in the same boat?
the
It's a
And
great
difference is
point.
that's a major problem if we're not. Because if
Right.
that's
Well,
a business to them, then we're a business to them. We have to be treated fairly. And that's what I think the United fans feel like now. And with all that news coming out about that NFL, United fans feel like, hold on a minute, we're being treated really unfairly here now at this stage.
100%.
yeah.
But
Well,
You
let
know,
me let.
you guys have to
and that's
realize
where it
that
stems from.
Yeah,
that NFL owners, there's of the 32 teams in NFL, I think there's only 2 teams that have owners that their main business is the actual team. Every other owner has a different business that supports the team that they own.
yeah.
And we have to look
Uh,
at this as
and
United
we're
fans.
supporting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Them fucking jerseys on the
That's
back wall
no,
there.
that's the problem is that like you look at the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones is an oil billionaire. He's oil money, and everything like that. And he owns the Dallas Cowboys. The Glazers have Manchester United. That's their business, and that supports the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's hard to say that because I'm a United fan. I don't give two shits about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and
No.
they're using us to fund at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
Jack, you look at the ordinary fan that has to go every week to Old Trafford, that has been going to Old Trafford. I don't go to Old Trafford every week. I love the club, but I wish I could go every week, and I would. But when you look at these people that go there every week, They see the stadium, and you can say we can flush it under the carpet as much as we like. The stadium needs TLC. The training facilities need TLC. And when these people go there every week and they're seeing the stadium fall down around them, Jack, and next thing they're putting the prices up. Well, hold on a minute. Like, I mean, I don't mind paying more if we're making improvements or if something's going in the right direction. But, oh, hold on a minute. We're in the shit here and we owe billions and we're going to put prices of tickets up. The fans have every right to do what they want to do in terms of a protest. I
Yeah.
think it's the right. We should have done this a long time ago, but we didn't. And
And
now
it's
it's got to.
it's hard when it's the Glazers pulling money out of the club for 20 years and then it's the fans that have to pay for it.
Yeah, and that's it. And I'm sorry to go off Aaron thing because I feel like it's getting to a stage where we're United fans and we keep going by the actual truth of what's going on here. The truth is this club is being run poorly and has been for years, and it does not matter. I believe we have a great coach in terms of what I've watched and what how he plays the system and what way he plays it. With lesser, would you say lesser clubs than United?
Yeah.
Now they look bigger than us. It's frightening, like. And it doesn't matter what manager we get in, Jack. I'm going to end on this. We need to really take a deep, long look and ask the questions of our owners. Where are they going to have us? If they do not sell this club, what's their vision in the next 10 years? Because we can't continue like this. It's not impossible. It's impossible to continue like this. We
Yeah.
need to start seeing improvements if we want to get back to where we were and compete with the best teams in the world. Because we
Yeah.
can go on about managers all we want. We need a good foundation of owners who are going to pump money in and do the right things and not get us into so much debt and try and do the right decision by the club first and
And I
then
think
take their money.
like Manchester United generates so much money globally that it actually doesn't take a big, conglomerate state to run us and pump billions and billions into us. It all it takes is just run the club properly, and we will
Yeah.
generate our own money. You know what I mean? I think
But
that's
I
that's
And can I add
that's
to this, Jack? Should we now, after all these years of the Glazers being in control of the club, should we not be better?
no. Well, I don't see how we should be considering how poorly we've been run. You know?
Right.
But I think,
So,
but we have to look at this in stages again, like compartmentalized. Like we have finally this summer put. Granted, the Ashford thing was a debacle, but we finally have football people doing football, making football decisions.
Yeah.
This is the first time in 10 years. That just doesn't change in one transfer window. Like that's not gonna transform our club to the point where all of a sudden we're gonna be magic again. And to go to what Desi was saying before, it's not the manager, it's not this, that, and there. I mean, like I was watching Rio Ferdinand. He goes, after a loss, he didn't even want to go to Carline to pick up his kids because he lost the game. He was saying that, like, are you kidding me? That these guys, like, I wouldn't want to show my face. Like, you're on a world stage and you played that bad. Like, I'd hide under a rock until I had to go out and play again. I mean, it's the root of our the root of our problem is the fact that I don't think the players care about the badge enough or realize how big the badge is, and it carries a heavy burden. Don't get me wrong, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to diminish that, but there is no way in that Spurs game you can say everybody gave an all out effort. They didn't.
but Chris, we do not have the same caliber of player that we should have.
No, and I
It's
and
like,
but that's
there is
but
no
Desi.
great in the United. Listen, in 10 years' time, and my daughter turns around and said, "Dad, I remember when I was watching United when I was in the sitting room with you, and do you remember such and such a player?" She won't be able to tell me, Chris.
No, I get it, but Desi, you got also think about what I just said is that in the Jack last 10, 12 years we've had Ed Woodward, John Murtaugh, Richard Arnold, probably guys before that. I think Woodward was the one that held it the longest. He's a banker. Like he's making football decisions and doing like we're going to plummet just for those 10 years. Like I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better. You can't, and I agree with you 100%, Desi, is that we don't have the caliber of player that we need. We don't. I'm sorry, we just don't. But at the same time, that's not going to change in one window. It's not going to change in two. It's not going to change in three. It's going to change in four, at
I
five.
think I think it goes back to what Ralph Rangnick said, and I think he was quite right. He said it doesn't have to take
100%.
that long. It doesn't have to take that long. Now, I understand where I still believe that there's probably I would say maybe 6 players in that Manchester United squad that are good enough to stay in the squad. Okay.
Yes.
Now, so if you go out and sign 4 or 5 players every 12 months that are good enough, then it is only going to take a couple of years. And if you're going to be introducing some of the younger players in as well, you know, the Sekou Kones, the Obi Martins, the Adrian Heavens, these kind of the players, I don't think it will take that long. But I think the longest turnaround is going to be behind the scenes. It's going to be getting the finances right. It's going to be restructuring the club. It's going to be streamlining it to where it's a profitable business again. You know, and that does come with cuts for the everyday person. It's always, you know, nobody likes people losing their jobs, but it has to be done. When you're losing 100 million a year as a club, you're not being run correctly. And
No,
I agree with Desi and I agree with Chris and I agree with all three. You know, we don't have a squad good enough to be where we want to be. We don't have, I think we do have the personnel now behind the scenes that are good enough to get us back to where we need to be, but that's going to take time. You know what I mean? And it's hard to tell Manchester United fans to be patient when we've, you know, it's been, 11, 12 years now since Ferguson left or whatever it is, and we're pulling our bloody hair out. But I think we're just going to have more patience. I genuinely do.
But let's look at this, and I don't want to bring another club into it, but everybody talks about, well, look at what Chelsea did and how they turned it around. Everybody conveniently forgets that, I want to get his name right, Abramovich, the guy that they forced out.
Yeah.
He cleared all their debts before he left. So they were at zero.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what United, can you imagine if the Glazers, I'm just
Right
saying,
buys them off, but here's 731 million just to clear the debts. Could you imagine?
No, can you imagine that? Because then everything that we do from there, and that's why they talk about, you know, FFP with Chelsea and this, they had no debt. They were at zero when they bought all these players, and Todd Bowley went in there and spent the money. All that debt is new. There was nothing previous. We're 800 million pounds in the hole. Like, and we're trying to dig out of that, and it's just caving in on us at that point. And I go, that's why you see Chelsea turn around, because Chelsea was last year in the position that we are this year, where they had a manager that they were 11th, 12th all year. They weren't playing well, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know.
Yeah,
and
100%.
But like you said, Jack, they went out and got that one player. They went out and got Cole Palmer. They got one player that can turn them around.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll happen us again, I'm telling you. There'll be another Eric Cantona or something like that will happen, you know. I do believe it. But anyway, I want to move it on. I want to talk a little bit about transfers, lads, for the next maybe 10 or 15 minutes before we finish up. Ben, I'll go to you on this one. How many players does Amram need? Take your time.
Well, yeah, where do you start? You're going to say 11, aren't you, really? With bench as well.
Yeah.
Look at the bench that we had last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mind the young lads being on the bench, but it shouldn't be a full bench. Maybe 2 or 3. That's not a problem with me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But like, how many players, or not how many players, but what positions then realistically do you think are most important for us to strengthen? In your
so
opinion,
we need a striker. We need a goal scorer, don't we, for a start?
Yeah.
I'd say we need a midfielder, attacking midfielder, Bruno competition.
Yeah, especially if Christian Eriksen is going to be leaving in the summer.
Yeah.
Is he already gone?
Yeah, your microphone didn't pick that up fully, thankfully.
I would say right back as well.
Right back, yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I think they're probably the main areas that we're kind of. Chris is saying 6. Well, go on. Give me your areas then, Chris.
Striker. basically the middle of the park. I mean, I think you need a striker. I think you need, honestly, I think you need three midfielders. Whether you want to say attacking midfielder, holding midfielder, I think we do need a right back, so that's five, and I think we need another goalkeeper. Because I mean, I'm as much as I go back and you guys think I'm crazy, but I go back and watch the replays of games. If you do it and you watch Andre Onana, his positioning is god awful. His angles are awful.
Would
I'm like,
would the goalkeeper spot be your last?
yes. I would start Binder before I put Onana back on the field. I mean, that's just me. I think Altai has been. I think if you look at he had a howler and but not as many as Binder or not as many as Onana, but he had a bad game and everything like that. But I'll chalk that one up to he hasn't played in
Yeah, no, hold
2
on a
years.
minute though. Yeah, but hold on a minute. All right, Onana's played like 100 games United. Binder has played 3, and one of them has been a howler.
One of them, yes, but he hadn't played in 2 years. Like
Yeah, that's
literally
true.
hadn't seen the field in 2 years. So I'll give him a little bit of a pass, not a big one, but a little bit. But at the same time, I think he makes better saves than Onana. I mean, I would say the goalkeeper. I think our defense is fine. I think with Euro, Delict, Mazraoui, uh, um, Martinez,
Maguire.
and Maguire, I think they're fine. Now, are they all world? No, but they're fine. I think Dorgu is a good player, and I think that we need a right back. We need a right wing back at that point.
Well,
And whether
why before you move on from centre back, I'll bring it because I was going to bring it into the show. Is that United are ready to pay 50 million to sign Sporting's Diamande, a target for Ruben Amram. Any thoughts on him?
he's a big boy. I
He
mean,
is a
he
big
can
boy.
play. He's a big
When
boy.
you can only see the top half of him there, but can you just tell by him that he's just a
No, I've
big
watched
chap?
him play. I mean, I've watched him play at Sporting. I watched him in the last game that they just played, the Champions League game that they just played. I mean, he like he's he's a bruiser, man. Like he's not afraid of anybody. He runs through everybody and he wins balls in the air with ease.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like him. He's young. I mean, he's not. I mean, I think he's only like 20.
Yeah, he's only 20. Yeah.
So,
He's only
but
on $8,000 a week at the moment as well. Chelsea are supposed to be looking at him as well, so there's going to be a bit of a wage battle.
yeah. But I mean, honestly, I'm not worried. I can live this window without getting anybody in the back four or the back line.
Yeah.
I really think that we need somebody. And let's just for the sake of it argument, we're gonna move Ahmad and he's gonna play in a 10. We're not gonna have it at a wing back. Okay, so Ahmad's gonna be at a 10. We need a wing back. We need a right wing back. I think that's important. But I think we need even with Bruno. If you say Bruno and Ahmad are gonna be your 10s, I still think we need two there, and I think we need two to match up with Ugarte, because I don't think Manu can play as much as we want him to play. I don't think he's ready for it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. Not game in and game out. So I think the center of the park is where you really need it, and I think that's the important part. In striker, we need. I would love to have Victor Gyökeres. I think he's the real deal, but at the same time, I want someone that is. I don't want someone that's 20. I don't want someone that's 21. I want someone in their prime or going into their prime, 24 to 28 years old, to teach Rasmus and Xerxes, or if he's still there, let's just say they're both still there, how to play the position. Osman, I just have reservations about his attitude. That's the only thing.
I agree. I agree with you. I
I mean,
agree.
do I think
That would be my one concern.
Do I think he's? I mean, he's all world. Yes, he is. He really is. But at the same time, I like Osman. Don't get me wrong. He's lightning in a bottle. He can score. He puts himself in the positions. And the one thing between Osman and Gyökeres, if you guys ever watch him, is watch their off the ball movement. I'm not a big fan. I'm not. I think
Go on, keep
He's
going.
Rasmus
Keep going.
Højlund all over
Keep
again.
going. Sorry.
It's all
I
right.
put up a picture of Liam Delap on for anyone who's not watching live.
I'm not a fan. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Is he a good player? Yes, and everything like that. But that's not the striker that we need.
Yeah, it's a
We
bit
need to-
underwhelming. If we did end up in the summer with Liam Delap as our striker signing, it'd be very underwhelming, wouldn't it?
I think we need someone that can show them how to play.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. You need a proven goal scorer. Don't give me this, oh, he hasn't played in the Prem. I don't give two shits about it, because if he can score goals, he can score goals, because it's his off-the-ball movement that makes it work.
Yeah.
Or the one thing I can, and I've said this in our match reactions and so forth, is Rasmus's off-the-ball movements are poor. Very poor.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with you. Absolutely. Desi, I want to ask you on this one, though, because obviously then, we've been talking about, Diamande there. We mentioned him, and we know United have been linked as well with Kenda. I think that's actually how you pronounce it, the wing back coming from Sporting. Is there a concern that Manchester United are going to make the same mistakes as we did with Erik ten Hag when we went back to Ajax and we went back to, the Dutch league and maybe players that he worked with in the past? Is there a concern about that with Ruben Amorim? We're talking about Gyökeres, who looks like that's probably not going to happen, but Ugarte is now here as well. Would that be a concern for you, or do you think, look, if these players are good enough and with the new, I suppose, setup there where players are heavily scouted, that it shouldn't be an issue?
Yeah, I don't think it should be an issue with Ruben Amorim. Give him what he wants, Jack. Give him what he needs. Let him work with it, and then we can make judgment. Yeah, we're open to doing the similar thing that what we done with Ten Hag, but we need to give this man some firing power, and back him. Simple.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go any further on that. Yeah, just give him what.
It's same as that though, isn't it? Though, sorry, it's with Ten Hag though. We didn't know a style of football.
No.
Yeah, true.
Amron comes in, he's got a style of football, so the players that he's looking for, and he's going to fit the style that he wants to play.
Yeah.
One thing about Alan is he knows exactly what he wants, and he's not changing for absolutely nobody, no matter what you say. So if he wants these players, and he's not going to change systems to suit anybody, he's going to play his way, and he knows this player can play this way, give him one. We're going to see instant change.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it, John.
Yeah, 100%. What if Ruben Amorim wants Paul Pogba?
I've seen that.
On what circumstance? For 3 months only?
Yeah, so look, this is my argument. So look, obviously there's been some reports coming out over the last few days about Paul Pogba. There was a few last week as well, saying that Pogba returning to Manchester United would have to be financially viable for the club and done very much on their own terms. So, Desi, a 3-month deal on pay-as-you-play wages where, he makes up the numbers and he's looking to put himself in the shop front again because he wants another club in the summer. Would it really be that bad if Paul Pogba came back?
Under them circumstances, no.
I don't think he was the problem.
Because he has to.
Was he not the
If
problem,
you're
Chris?
talking about them, if you're talking about them circumstances like pay as you play, 3-month deal, he really has to prove a point then, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah.
we're not really tied down to anything. And the only thing
I agree with Chris, though. I don't think it was a problem. Who let the contract run down?
Yeah, but he didn't want a new
Everybody-
contract.
No, but the thing is, everybody he's gone free twice, hasn't he?
Yeah, hold on now a sec now. There's no way you fucking leave Manchester United twice for free. You know what I mean? That just doesn't happen.
That's what I'm saying. Is that his fault, though? That's the way we've been run again, isn't it?
Yeah, but he clearly wanted to leave. Yeah, and he didn't want to sign a new contract. And I agree. Maybe we shouldn't have signed him in the first place. I 100% agree with you on that. But you do the decent thing as a player and say, right, I've got a year left. I'll go so the club can get something for me. And he left for free twice.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just in terms of him as a footballer now.
Oh yeah, in terms of him as a
Nowadays,
footballer, look,
and stuff.
Yeah, but I think Paul Pogba falls into the Luke Shaw category where we say on his day. That little phrase is used. You know what I mean? He didn't have enough days though as a Manchester United player.
But now that's probably what we need, isn't it? We probably do need him in the squad now. Can you imagine if he was in the squad now?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say. Look, They probably
Taking
need
him back
me
now
at
looks
this
like
stage, let alone fucking Paul Pogba. But go on.
taking him back now looks like we're desperate, doesn't it? Really, like, and we really actually are.
We are
Well,
desperate.
Yeah,
When you
that's
look
it.
at it,
Yeah,
it does.
like,
Yeah, well,
I mean,
we are desperate,
there's no shying away from it. We're desperate, and
but I
under
think
those circumstances, look at Jack. Class is permanent and form is temporary, and if he comes in under those conditions where he has to perform, and he'll have to perform if he wants to get paid, because he's going to have to play to get paid. We don't lose anything,
yeah,
really. We possibly open up a window of we could get a good Paul Pogba. I'm not saying that that's going to happen,
yeah,
but under those circumstances, we could open up a whole new animal. We don't know how hungry he is to get back playing football. We know
yeah,
there is a good player in there. We never got it. We never seen it, even when he was getting paid big bucks. But maybe this time when the tables are turning around in our favour, he might show us what we've actually missed out on.
yeah,
And right now, we need someone creative and strong in the middle of the pack. We're crying out for it.
yeah.
So
Go on, go
maybe
on.
it's a shot worth taking.
Yeah, go on, Chris. Have your say.
I think it. I think it's. I agree with Desi. I think under the circumstances, do I want to sign to a long term deal? No, absolutely not. But for 3 months to put in our midfield, I mean, yeah. I mean, you
Yeah, I
can't. I
agree.
don't see. I
I'll
mean,
put it to you this way, Chris.
I
Sorry to
put
cut
it.
across
Hold
you.
on, Desi. I put it the same way. You look at what Villa just did. They went out and on loan got Marco Asensio from PSG, and he's playing really well for them. And everybody thought he was washed. And so you get Pogba, and he can make the passes that he can make the passes and do the things that we need him to do that we are lacking at this point. He's always been able to do that. Now, you know, can he link? He can link the back four with the front, and the one thing that he can do is he can run. He runs. As much as you want to say that he's like a gazelle, I mean, he just runs and everything like that. So now again, we preface this by saying we're gonna get a hungry Paul Pogba because like we all in agreement. He needs to showcase in order to get another deal somewhere else.
Yeah,
And I honestly think he got kind of wronged. And I don't know. I didn't really dive into the whole performance enhancing drug thing. I don't know exactly how that played out and whatnot, what he took, what he didn't take, this, that, and the other. I didn't pay much attention to it. But at this point, we don't have anybody like him. And I think we would be foolish not to give him a shot
yeah.
with what we
I
have in
just
our
think
squad.
all of the stars, not all of the stars, but all of the opportunities are kind of aligning where he needs us as much as probably we need him. You know.
I mean, Bruno
Yeah, can
came
I
out
just
and
say something?
Bruno came out and gave him a shining
Yeah,
endorsement.
that's true. Yeah,
If
exactly.
if you
And saying, "Go ahead."
if
Go on,
Chris,
Desi.
sorry, if you had the option, let's say, to put Casemiro on the field or put Paul Pogba on the field, like I mean, it's a no-brainer, and we don't even know what Paul Pogba's like at the minute,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and that's
He could
saying something. Like
yeah, but he could show up to Carrington Way in the same way as Lukaku. You know what I mean? And then we're all in trouble. It'll take him 2.5 months to get the bloody weight off, and he's only has a 3-month deal.
No, and But I mean, we have to look at the good side about that. And if he comes in and it's going to take him a week or two to get fit and be able to play, but just his creativity and what he sees, I think that it's a no brainer. I think
Yeah,
and I just look at our squad and like we lack the center of the park right now. Like we have too many square pegs and round holes right now.
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Right, I think we'll leave it there, lads. I appreciate you coming on as always. Absolute legends. Podcast episode number 1 is back, and look, we'll be doing a weekly. Obviously, you're not obliged to be here every week if you can't make it or whatever. But I appreciate you coming on as always. And
Are we going to do it on Tuesdays or Wednesdays?
we're going to do it on Wednesdays. Sorry,
Okay.
today's Thursday. Yeah, so we're going to do
Yeah.
it every
yeah,
Wednesday, guys, at 9 p.m. Obviously, the Champions League was on last night, so we said we'd allow everybody watch City get knocked out of the Champions League before we done
that
it.
was
So,
bastard.
yeah, that's why we're on. And as well, United will be playing Thursday nights anyway, so we'll do the.
Did you see my comment? Did you guys see it in the group that not even Unai Emery can get Rashford to track back?
Exactly. I told you, lads. I told you. Look, don't worry about it. Sancho started fast at Chelsea. Look what he's doing now. Nothing. Anthony scored in his first 3 goals for Betis. He done the same for Manchester United, and we see how that worked out. And now Rashford. Don't be worrying about it. Don't be
The
worrying
funny
about it.
thing was, I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you guys watch that game where when Trent scored that goal, he was literally like 10 yards behind him, like walking back. And when he scored the goal, he just was like, "Oh, I can't believe that happened."
Yeah,
Just like-
exactly. Exactly.
What do you think for the game in the weekend, lad?
3-0 us.
Yeah,
All right, I'll take that.
I'll go with that.
I'll go with that. Yeah, I haven't given it much thought. I'll be doing the match the match preview tomorrow. I'm still looking for babysitters for the game on Saturday as well. So we'll have to wait and see whether there's a watch along. But anyway, look, lads, we'll leave it there. And as always, thanks for coming on.
Jack, if you need me to do a watch along, I can do it on Saturday if you're
Perfect. Yeah, I'll let you know because I should be at home anyway. So
Okay.
we'll go from there. I'll let you know. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Please smash a like in the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening back on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever it is, give us a 5-star review. Helps the channel out an awful lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.